hits the ground or something. They go and like get the other dogs out of the area.
I think we're on.
Oh, we're going. Build our own.
Good, how are you doing?
I will.
Oh, there we go.
Turn your mics on.
She said she's not gonna make it.
Oh, almost, yeah,
At
she's
the
not
last
coming.
minute, something came up, I guess. So we are
Okay.
fully present.
So without a gavel, I call the meeting to order.
Put the damn gun.
I don't know.
We're survived.
Yeah. So, Anna, you want to start?
Yeah, Anna, Danese? Here.
Roll call.
Oh, first,
John Reuter.
Dennis Wiley.
Lauren Pfeiffer.
Dana Kemp.
Brandon Slater. Brian Stewart.
Great. So approval of the minutes from last meeting, which Dana emailed out to everybody. Does anyone have any comments or questions? So can somebody make a motion to approve the
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
second.
minutes approved? Okay, so let's jump into what Brian has just handed out here. Hello, Jim? Hello?
Hi, yeah.
How you doing?
Join in and listen. And one of our other committees kind of dropped,
Oh, this is
so I'm
nice.
kind of visiting.
Great, great.
when they're out there, so
So for those of you
good to
that
be here.
don't know, which I'm not sure that's the case, but Jim McMaster, he's president of the board. So thanks for,
Yeah, thanks for what you're doing, appreciate it.
okay, so Brian, do you want to kick off our review here? Or,
Basically, with all the conversations we've had up to this point, I think this is the 8th edit,
yeah,
which isn't really that bad if you think
This,
about
this
it.
is great.
You know,
looks
from
great.
0 to 8 isn't
Yeah.
bad at all. But I welcome, as far as I'm concerned, we're ready to go to
Yep.
final approval and start talking kiosk size and stuff like that with staff and moving forward with the map. But I welcome your input and opinion on this, and I've been including that, I'd like to think, up to this point.
Yep.
And let me know if we've missed anything, or if this would be suffice to move forward.
I think it looks great. Good job.
Something
Yeah. Kayla, a big
Nice
hats
job.
off to her. She's been great to work with, a staff member who does a lot of our work. And she's marvelous, as they say. And,
Brian, also thanks to you and your group
well, yeah, there's
for
been a lot
really
of.
working
and
with us on
right
this
back at everybody
project.
here. It's been a great experience, and to go from the beginning of helping develop a master plan and getting the maps going this is just one of many steps there, but it's the big piece, right? We can move off of this
Yep.
Yep.
and start doing a lot of smaller stuff within the whole trail system.
I mean, I think it's great. I'd love to, sort of make this, if we can't finalize it tonight, that would be great. And
I would,
actually
I
start
would
things
definitely,
happening.
Appreciate that and that kind of input. Things that I did notice that Kayla's pointed out to me is that you go from a little map, and I guess it's a no-brainer, but it's really not my lane or forte, is as you expand it, there's a lot more detail you can put in here. It creates more room on the map. So even if when we get this up to the 5x5 kiosk, big map, or whatever the size may be, there'd be room for a QR code right here in the middle or
Oh,
something.
perfect.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna have, I envision we'd have 2 other panels if we went with a big 3-panel
That'd be great.
kiosk. You'd have a whole rules one on one side and a ton of information you could do on another one, and we could build off of that, and then all the little trailhead maps we could do off of the, based on this.
I love the green, yellow, brown in general. It just looks so naturey.
And, yeah.
It just looks great.
And staff was.
Colors aren't like
Yeah.
screaming at you. It just looks great.
And that would be, that's a good lesson or thing we're learning in the district. It's, as we evolve, that, on all our trail maps moving forward, we might, if we upgrade the Getman Trail one or whatever, you could start going with the no background. And, there's nothing wrong with the maps they had out there, but, it's a little bit more user-friendly, absolutely.
It would be nice, because I've talked to more people than I can remember over the last year that I see in the park on a daily basis who's, ask me where to go, directions. I said, and I keep saying, it's coming, it's coming. So
Yeah, I think
we're-
even
we're
starting
pretty
tomorrow
close to that.
morning, I'm burn copies of this, and we start putting this up there, because Craig needs to replace maps right now anyway.
Yeah.
It's gonna make a big difference, just that, you know what I mean, so.
No, I think it's great.
Nice job.
These are just little nits, Brian, and you guys can decide if you want to correct them, but the T and the R and the trails on the heading look like they're smushed a little bit. I
I
don't
kinda
know.
like that though, if it's supposed to be that way. I wondered if
I
it was
wonder-
supposed to be that way.
Yeah,
Cause it
Yeah,
looks
I don't
kind of.
know.
I like it.
I'll point that out to Kayla, I think that could be adjusted.
What are yellow areas fields? So there's a random field down,
Yeah,
that's
they
the
take
field
out
with the
the-
farmhouse.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I think that looks
yeah.
really nice, and then the brown, what's a brown patch versus a green patch, or is that
Oh,
just
that's a
more?
good question.
Is it
Is
just
that the
coloring?
oaks?
Well, there might have been, but that's a field, and I don't know, for some reason, maybe when you took the background out at that time of year, that field was different color, I have no idea. But that's a
Probably.
field also.
Is that field,
It's just-
farmed?
It's just grass.
That's one we flailed,
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just
so
the
the
others are
others,
farmed, so,
Yeah.
good
Yeah.
point. At one time, there's gonna be a weed out
we
here.
don't
and-
sit there.
So that makes sense, and that's the only place that you guys flail
Yeah.
mow, right? Yeah.
Yep,
Right, then you can
but
just,
I appreciate that's just a click of the mouse, I think, in terms of,
I think-
before we went to a final print, with a printing company.
Oh, leave the brown.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think leave
Yeah,
the
we're
brown.
gonna
I
leave the
like it.
brown, right?
Yeah,
Let's leave it.
I
It
like
makes
it.
sense.
I don't
Yeah.
wanna change
Wait,
it, it's,
so what's brown?
The brown is the only place that they mow
Okay.
in the park.
So-
CPRD,
Yeah.
okay.
so I saw people out there picnicking there. That's fine, it's not gonna wreck any crop
Right.
thing.
So I guess what we're saying on is that the color differential between either a farmed field, which is the yellow, and then forest is green, is a field that CPRD, that's just wild
Brown.
grass, and that's what they mow.
Brown is
Yeah.
mowed.
So
But it's not
question then,
someone's
the field off the image of the farmhouse, is that farmed?
It's mowed too. It's,
That's
it's
mowed, too.
grass.
Yeah.
So that
Behind
should be
where
brown.
the
So maybe we
shop
make
is.
that brown.
but it's irrigated, and it was growing.
Yeah, it's more
it
like
was
a-
growing, so I
Oh,
don't
it
know
was?
if that
Okay.
matters.
I mean, I don't know if the color really
Does
matters.
the color I mean, I
'Cause
don't
you-
know.
I don't know if it matters.
Because then you're up here.
I think it's more forest as
like my
opposed
property,
to open.
it's yellow.
Yeah.
No one's gonna know what the brown means, so
I
I'm
think
not
they're gonna
sure,
wanna stay on the trail and do their thing.
Yeah.
I'm not sure the brown's necessary.
I think it looks, visually it looks nice, the
Yes.
color looks nice, and I think the brown, I'm just saying,
Yeah,
to
but
me,
I
the
mean,
colors don't mean
if I'm out
anything.
hiking, why would I think
This
this
is-
is different than this?
Well, nobody's gonna hike on this, to be honest, and this is definitely distinct from the other side of this trail. A distinct landscape,
Looks different.
And if you look
Nobody's gonna be over here.
here, this is homes. This isn't part of the park, but it's homes. Here's my property. This is not, it's blackberries. So I don't think the color really matters, but visually it looks nice.
It does.
So it doesn't have
Yeah,
to
but
mean
everything
anything.
sends a message and should have meaning. Not just that it looks nice. Is it if it specifically is doing something.
I think it has meaning. I think what we decided, this brown is not irrigated. It's wild. It's mowed, right?
But
Okay,
it's fieldy, not trees.
It's fieldy, not trees.
but we're just mowing this too. or the-
Right, but this is irrigated. This was part of the farmhouse farm.
So
Yeah,
it's
yard.
always irrigated.
Yes,
That's the only place that's irrigated in the whole park.
yeah. This is part of the house.
No one,
I think the color differential
I'm
is
fine.
perfect, the trail
Yeah.
colors, because
There's
they're
nothing for
not,
me.
they're just really easy to distinguish, but they're,
As a hiker, I would want to
Nice.
know if I'm walking under trees or in an open field. And those are the two pieces of information I think this should tell us. And then we introduce brown, which, we're not describing anything about brown versus yellow.
So I think you can get that from this map, because the only trail that's right on the brown, next to it, like you can touch trees.
I would think the brown was like oak woodland or something.
But you're not walking through there anyway. So this is what I'm
We're
saying, like,
walking around it.
Well, do you think we should change all these colors too?
Well, my only question is, do we want that in the key? Do we want to include those 3 colors in the key or not?
No, I don't think
Okay, then
so.
we kind of know what it is and someone can figure it out.
I don't
That's
think
fine.
it's making a lot of sense to me, but
Yeah.
if you guys like it, that's fine.
I just think when I hike somewhere, I'm really more concerned with how do I get from one place to another?
Well, yeah, and you're like,
That's
am I
my
in a
main
forest or
concern.
am I in?
Well, let me ask this,
in an
Brian,
open
did
field?
Kayla take the colors from, the original earth
She
background?
didn't add color, she
Right.
takes out the background.
That's what I'm
and this
saying,
is
that's my
what
question.
on the
Earth.
computer
Yeah.
comes up.
So we have the Google Earth
Didn't
picture, the
expand
sat
dark
picture.
brown, didn't shrink the green, didn't do any of that.
And so these colors were dictated by that original,
Did you delayer the background as I watched you
Yes.
do that? This came to be.
yeah.
But if
And
this-
because we're not providing a key,
Listening to this input, it's blue, but I don't know, do you want it all one color?
No.
no,
Yeah.
Does
No,
it
it's
be
good.
elevation?
No.
Has to be
No,
around
no.
different
I think it's-
stuff?
I like the open fields as opposed
Because
to
I'm not telling you
forest.
that's an open field, and I'm not telling you that's a forest, I'm just, it is what it is, the
Yep.
background's there.
You
I'd
can
like to
interpret
tell you how to get from point A to point B.
well, and my point is, it's not made up. It was how
Yeah,
the
nobody-
picture,
Yeah, but no one's gonna know what it
But
means.
I'm not a computer.
I don't
genius,
know
so
that
I mean-
it has to.
yeah.
I like the easiest, more difficult, most difficult, just 3 categories. That's really
That's
nice.
good.
Yeah.
You guys brought that up,
Very
and that's a good
clear.
addition there. I think,
And not too many categories. I think that's great. I think it just looks really
even before we get the Carson signs, the stickers and all that,
Yeah,
anybody could show up and go, okay, that was, Burt's is gonna be a little.
I was actually going to ask if Richard could bring up the Google Maps.
there we go.
Oh,
Oh, thank you,
Richard.
Richard.
Thank you.
Perfect.
So if somebody's
I-
looking at Google Maps,
Brian, were you
They'll
planning
see
on
the
putting
same
the difficulty level stickers on the marker post?
Yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
that'd be easy to do.
Great.
And
So
they
that's-
all, this came from Rockart, all those,
This is,
That's what I was just gonna
these are
ask.
common stickers, you know, that in the trail.
So these same shapes or indicators, Brian, will
Yeah,
be
it's pretty
on the
universal.
Carsonite signs?
Yes,
Yeah, great.
pretty universal, and I guess Jim can attest that, anybody gets this, so.
So looking at this image, you can see there's open space and there's forested areas. And depending on what crop they're growing or the time of year for the crop, you're gonna have a different brown as opposed to a light yellow. That can change by the
Thank you,
crop.
Richard. It's helpful.
So to me, and I don't want to beat a dead horse here, to me, I think it's most important that people know whether it's an open field, meadow, pasture land, cropland, as opposed to a forest. So you have green and then you have either the yellow or brown.
Well,
Okay.
and maybe we vote.
Everything sends a message,
I understand.
and I don't know what the message is looking at this.
Well, take a look at that really quick, but then I also think that because these trails are named field loops,
Okay?
I would, if I was new to this park, I would say, well, that's a trail around a field.
Now I'm in a brown area.
But there is
What
no
does that
trail
mean to
through
me?
the brown area. You're basically in the forest. And
Well,
you
you're going
can,
around
when you're there,
the
you're
field.
going around the brown area. Yeah. And these will be planted.
I'll rest my case. I'm just saying, I don't agree.
It's
okay.
it's non-farmed land, so it hasn't been tilled,
It's non-tilled.
and it's okay for people to walk around on it,
Yep.
and you could name it something if you want, so you could have like the field. They could go out there, and
At some point, we could name it, like we talked about naming other things. Yeah,
the amphitheater
yeah,
Be a good spot for one.
yeah.
for a concert with 20 cars. So, yeah, I mean, you know, these land use maps, if it hasn't been tilled and stuff, it'll show up. But anyway, so there is a reason, it's just not indicated on the map, which is
Right.
fine with me, so.
yeah, I'm just thinking my own
So are
usage.
we saying then that the brown area we're allowed to go wherever we want, and the lighter yellow area you can't, because that's being farmed.
Yeah,
If that's the case, then we probably need to have something about that on the sign
The rules will say,
or the map.
don't go through the fields, farm fields.
And there's,
Right.
there's signs,
That's
Rule-
there,
what
that's there
rules
now.
are that? Where are
The
the,
park
rules say
rules.
stay on the trail.
Yeah, it says stay on the trail, and Brian's mentioned that we're gonna have the map and then like a 3-panel kiosk thing, but the sign there now says stay on the trail, right?
Yeah.
and there's signs not to go in the field because they're planted too. So that's another thing, that's when you get there visually, there's signs that say stay off the field.
One other quick thing, and I don't know, maybe we vote, or Dennis, what would your recommendation be? Brian, is the Jeep meant to be at an angle? It's messing with my
Oh, that's funny, yeah.
straight line thing.
It's just on there.
Looks
Just
like
we put the horse in the
like a
trailer.
four-wheeler.
The horse used to be outside the trailer. He's in the trailer.
Oh, I like
like
that.
that.
Yeah.
Good contrast.
If she's gonna go
It's
back in to
just
fix the T
whatever.
and the R, if she could level out the Jeep, that would be great.
This is going downhill.
It looks like it's a four-wheeler park, perhaps. Okay, so,
well, most of the brown is outside the park,
right.
so the only brown we're showing is this.
No, I think
I
it's
I just don't
wonderful. So
understand.
clear and hopeful.
Well, the point was that originally the
And-
background was
and
the
these can
earth
change.
picture.
These can change,
Yeah.
I mean, this is all private land, I mean, those can suddenly become cropland.
Well, yeah, of course, but that's not even in the park.
I know, but we're showing it.
Right, but our responsibility is to map the park. We can't, right? This is just giving people orientation of the park with the roads, is my thought.
Yes.
So, well,
So if I'm just looking at the park boundaries,
Mm-hmm.
I see that there's this one brown area in the park, and there isn't brown anywhere else in the park. What does that mean? There's
so
no
what's your
information on
suggestion
the
as to,
sign?
as to how
I
to
would get rid
communicate?
of, I think it's more important to know whether you're in an open field as opposed to a forest.
Okay, so what we've
If I'm
talked
choosing
about.
like, it's a hot day, I think I'd really rather be under the trees.
So do you want that to be yellow
I
then?
guess so. If that's all open, that's how she got that color, yeah. And probably get rid of those differentiations. Or leave them since they're outside the park, they don't really mean anything.
so I'd like
Okay,
to
my only
see,
thing about
Maybe we
making
should
it
just-
yellow is it is
Yeah.
different space.
so
Yeah,
I'd like to
Maybe we
see
should
the,
move forward.
the sign that says stay out of the fields, and then you could say stay out of the fields, yellow areas. You could just, in the instructions, and then, then the brown areas, you could call it,
But
Stay
but I
out of the
don't-
farmed
I
fields.
don't, this is an ag, I mean, yeah, this is irrigated, but that's the park. So that's not somewhere you stay out of the field.
well, this is the yard of the farmhouse.
Yeah.
It's not something that
fenced off.
people go to.
Where the
It's like-
events
Yeah,
used to be
right.
and stuff, yeah.
And it's where they've got the shop. The only thing I would
But
say
that-
is
but
what
that's-
happens if
So
you,
that's a big difference than a leased agricultural field.
what
So
happens
it
if you
shouldn't be the same
decide
color.
to take this brown field and you farm it? Because one of the neighbors has been farming it until the last year or two. So
Then that would change.
then we
too.
would change the whole map again. The cost of that, is that what we're saying?
I
mean, I'm
don't
just
want to
playing
set
dev-
something
I'm
up where
just
we're
playing
changing the
devil's
color
advocate.
based
think
on.
it's-
Let's just map
I think
open
it's fine.
field as opposed to forest.
So you're saying two colors, just yellow and green?
Mm-hmm.
yeah. That's simple.
Yeah,
Okay, so Brian, could you have Kayla change that section? I'm gonna propose that we just change the section,
The field of
The
Bob's
brown-
Corner.
yeah, the field at Bob's Corner to yellow. I don't think we should change anything outside of the park boundaries.
no, it's not our property.
But if it's more clear to have that yellow, then we can change it to yellow.
Okay.
Everyone agree?
Yeah.
You guys okay?
Okay, so let's talk about, so map is signed off with changing this to, just for the record, changing this to yellow. Seeing if we can fix the font on trails
Yeah,
unless
I'm-
it's supposed to be like that for some reason.
I don't think it is because down below, yeah, and then make the car going straight.
And make the car straight. So it doesn't look like a dune buggy area or something, I don't know.
Do we need to vote on that as a final decision for the
I
map?
think staff is gonna make that decision.
Okay.
Okay, so we
Yeah.
don't have to do a final vote? Okay,
Welcome to it.
so we can do
Yeah.
that and move forward?
We're gonna take this to, when we decide to make this or to the printer,
Okay,
it's gonna, we're gonna make little tweaks maybe here and there in terms of what the lettering looks like or how it looks or this color on the metal. and
That's
all
great.
that, but
Great,
I love the input you guys gave on, just the finalization of it, the outline, the 9 different loops and
Yep.
the information that is entailed in here, so, I think we're ready to take that to the next step. And I'll
Okay.
definitely level the G, turn that to yellow, and look at how this is printed out, or how this can lay out up top.
awesome.
That's great.
And how, Brian, how can we help you with next steps?
Really can't, but I can, when I get the final, you know, what the print, it's gonna look like when it's printed, or we're moving forward to that. And then we can continue to have discussion about maybe what do we want the kiosks to look like, and that kind of thing. I think that would be cool.
Okay,
For users of the park.
okay. And if you need,
Because that's a big deal. You notice we
Yeah.
moved the yellow trailer, the concession stand, and getting a feel for where we want to place a big giant kiosk for a giant park map. And then, so figuring out how that's gonna look and communicating with folks, how that's gonna look, and what we have in mind. I think having input in that and being a part of that process would be fun.
okay, great.
Did you have a size in mind, Brian, for the two
No, I
big?
really don't yet, but I mean, I think big, it would be big, you know, I mean, good. Something standard like you have in all the other state parks. where,
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty consistent that they're, I
5 by
don't know if
7.
it's 4x3 or 3x3 or whatever, 4x4. But it's a good sized parking lot and the initial entrance at the farmhouse there at the Riley property. So there's an opportunity and all that open space there to make people feel comfortable when they get there that, hey, that's the place to go to check that out. Now I'm off and checking out the park.
Yep. Perfect.
Great.
Nice. Again, thank you for everybody for all your help on this, and that's really,
This
it's
looks fantastic.
been a good thing.
Really good work.
It's been I think, a great learning experience to do it. And I sure, we got lots of chances to do lots of walking and check out all the trails.
Great. Okay, any more discussion on that? So we'll wait to hear from Brian on next steps. Any more? Anything else there? Okay. Moving on to item 5, so advisory committee recommendation and decision. And Jim, I'm glad you're here because you may have some input here too. So on the last board meeting, Dennis, you were there, I was there, Dana was called in, and some of the rest of you may have been called in as well, but you saw there was a discussion on the citizen action committees and how they function, and the 3 that are in place today, golf, pickleball, and ourselves. And there was discussion about sort of the structure and why they were formed and have they met the mission. Golf and pickleball was sort of very defined role and very time-bound task, whereas we were trails, which, there's always work to do, and it was a little bit more open. Obviously, Brian and the board, we knew that our first priority was going to be working on signage and map, which we're, obviously a good ways through. So, Jim and Brandon, correct me if I'm wrong, but the ask of our committee was to think about how we've been functioning as a committee and the rules that we're required to operate within, meaning, everything's public meeting, et cetera. And think about how we see that committee within the current structure moving forward. So do we have another large project where we feel we could be of input? Is this the right way to work? Is there a different way to work, whether it's informal volunteer groups? What are the advantages of this committee versus volunteer groups? So that's sort of what I wanted to bring up today. And, it's interesting because the pickleball and the golf committee sort of functioned where they went off and did their homework. They got a, clubhouse draft, and pickleball, same thing, and they brought it to the board, and then the board had discussion and approved certain things, right? Whereas we're working a little bit different than that, right? So I think in the pickleball and golf example, they went out and gathered input from interested parties, did some homework, and brought it to the board. That's not really how we've been functioning, right? So is there something in that format that we want to tackle with trails, or is it better served, by volunteer groups, by park or whatever? Obviously a committee of this sort takes up staff time, takes up resources to keep the building open, the IT function, et cetera. As a volunteer group, you can still come to the board meetings and communicate and ask for resources or decisions or consideration. But I know that we, as selected members of this group, appreciated the structure and the routine and the commitment that this group brings. So my recommendation is, because of the open house tomorrow, because of the survey and the open house tomorrow, and actually before I get to that, I want to say one thing, is that, and maybe this is a question for Jim and Brandon in light of this discussion, is that when I started thinking about this, I would have thought that if we were operating like pickleball and like golf, when the survey was being drafted and decided to be sent out and then results come in, I would have thought that this committee would have been a good resource for you guys to either help design the survey or help communicate, everyone get out and fill out the survey, maybe distill some of the results. So I'm just curious as to if there was discussion about utilizing that committee for that, or is there something like that in the future that we could participate in, and is that what a citizen advisory committee should be doing? So I'll get to my recommendation, and then maybe you guys have some thoughts on that. But my recommendation is that we all go and think about it and discuss, and because of the open house we have tomorrow night, I think that we should hold on a decision in this meeting. I hope everyone is able to attend the open house tomorrow night or virtual the following night. Get a sense of what the community is telling CPRD, and then we come back and discuss whether there's something out of that, and get input from Brandon and Jim as to whether there's something that this committee in its current function and role can work on after that, or whether we're better served disbanding, like I think pickleball and golf have both disbanded, right?
Well, it's not, golf is not yet.
Okay. Or whether we're better
But they
served
plan
disbanding.
to, right?
I don't think they've met.
We'll see.
Oh, that's right, they
That's
weren't gonna meet for a quarter or something,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, okay. So that's my recommendation, but I wanted to open it to opinion and discussion, go from there.
So I just had one question. I know both pickleball and the golf had a very specific project, and then it was gonna have a date of completion, and then it was gonna be amazing, right? And we had already talked about how there's other trails coming along. We weren't the Bob and Crystal Riley Park Trail Committee.
Right.
So I'm just wondering a little bit how that's different from the other two, how that factors in future-wise with, I'm assuming in some ways CPRD is gonna, maybe at some point they'll stop doing new trails, but certainly for the time being, there's new trails in the works. So part of it is the question of would we be helpful for those things? Right, as one of our reasons for.
Yeah, there's plenty of work to be done, I think, right, and to help with. It's just, how can we best do that?
So,
Yeah.
Lauren, I wanted to mention too that I think we did go out and do research and collect a lot of information on the trails. So when you said pickleball and golf, they had a different type of information, but.
Oh,
there
you're right,
so-
on this trail, yes.
And
For sure.
the other part, just to throw this comment in too, in this committee, there's been sort of assignable work. There's been people, we'll go that time, that, there's a small number of us, we all face to face, we know who we are. Oh, okay, they're gonna go check this out now, it's a very tight loop rather than just what's gonna happen on such and such social media in the next month or something, really amorphous. So I think there is a difference, there's a difference in utility for a group like this that's willing to go out and check it out, like all the other trails, the bypass trail, how, if there's any issues about that or questions, just, we're right here, you know who we are, you could just say, hey, we need some people to go check it out, so.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just want us to, if that's where we're headed, I want to make sure that we kind of click back on the public meeting requirements and make sure that we're able to do what we want to do with your example within those constraints.
So are you asking a question of us? I mean, that's.
Sure, yeah. Well, I'm asking for, it's just open discussion. My recommendation is that we not make a decision tonight, that we wait until a January meeting, essentially.
First of all, I'm sure Brandon agrees with me, I appreciate the work that you've done and continue to do. I think community input is important. But again, Brandon and I are both policy oriented now, and I wasn't before, but I am now. So really, a lot of what you would be doing would be staff driven. You were right in saying that it does
We need
take
a
staff
microphone
time.
for Jim.
Oh, I gotta talk on that.
Yeah. If you want to sit over here.
Thanks for reminding me of that. And this is all part of the whole public process now, getting used to all these legal maneuvers that we have to do to meet state requirements, and that has also been in a way, personally for me, a detriment for some of these groups, because they don't understand, or they come into it and they have to do these things that they don't feel comfortable with because they haven't done it before. And I have to say that sometimes our groups have not had good direction on what they need to do. So I know the district apologizes for that if you guys felt like that. And I think that the trail committee prior to this one did feel like that a little bit, and that's why I didn't jump back on. Trails are like the #1 recreational activity in the United States right now, overall. Whether it's walking, ped, horse, bike, whatever the trails are. It's the #1 interest of the public, and that's why this Trails Committee is so important. I realize you've been focused pretty much on one location, but we do have a lot of other locations that the district is interested in, but we have so many different challenges, especially from regulatory challenges, to be able to do what we like to do in canyons or waterways or bridges or whatever. So, you know, being able to help if the staff needs something, and again, it's staff driven. If they need, let's say, help with Union Young Park, if we need help with Friends Park, if we need help with a trail that goes from 99 through Hoover Park and ends up in Friends Park, if we need those type of things in the future, that's where these committees would come in and help. But I don't know what the staff has on their next agenda as far as what we'd like to help. The bypass trail is a big effort, expensive effort, and it has a lot of agencies involved. So anyway, I don't know if I've answered your question. I know sometimes it can be frustrating to find out, okay, what do we do next, or where do we go with this? I appreciate all the work that you've done on the Riley property. I mean, and laying out those trails. And I don't know if I answered your questions.
Well, I
And
think,
Brandon might want to pitch in too.
yeah, I just want to clarify, at least from my perspective, Jim, that, you know, before it was brought to our attention, we never considered disbanding. You know, it was a request that came from the board to consider.
If you feel it's not worthwhile to do what you're doing, or you don't feel that you're being functional in what you're doing, or you're frustrated, sometimes these committees don't work out. I mean, in the 38 years I worked here for the Park District, I had one committee in all those years, and that was pretty much to build the aquatic center. That committee to find the funding and pass the bond and do all those kind of things. Otherwise, they were all volunteer groups that came out, didn't have a real formal setting like this, didn't make decisions per se, but the person that was in charge of the task would say, can I get together a bunch of volunteers to build a trail over wherever? And that's how it would happen, and that's how it went, and that's how we did things. Build a playground, whatever, it wasn't committee driven. So, it's morphed out a little bit differently with this, the last few years, and I think that some of the committees, like you said, the pickleball and possibly the golf are gonna stop. But their work was important, and your work's important, but the difference between, and I think one of you mentioned this, pickleball and trails, the golf course, clubhouse and trails, you got one position, one area, one location. Here you have 36 miles of properties throughout our district. And wherever we can put trails, the public will love it. I mean, that's really, and the Crystal Riley is good, and people are going up there, and I've heard a lot of people, and I've walked them too, but their main population is here, in Dundee and Newberg. So, you know, from my personal perspective, I think the board would agree with me. Randy, you can disagree more, but being able to put trails down this area down here to meet our population's demand is kind of something I'd like to see more of. So you might have some ideas, and that's where you come in.
Mind if I chime in for a little bit?
Go for it.
Unless, Brian, do you have
Yes.
any? Okay. Yeah, I mean, Jim's thoughts are all on point, and I think everybody's feelings are definitely valid, whether you want to continue as an advisory group or volunteer group. Like you said, that's kind of the discussion. But as the results come out for the recent survey, I think everybody here hopefully will be pleased. I mean, the vast majority of respondents are thrilled or want more trails in various capacities. It's a landslide compared to most other things. I'm not sure when those are going public on the website. I think the staff is probably trying to distill the statistics in a more digestible form because it's just hundreds and hundreds of pages. From a board member perspective, and I can only really speak to myself and not the whole board, what I would look at for any particular citizens advisory committee, whether it's existing or to be formed, I would say, one, do the people on it represent kind of the mission? So golf clubhouse is easy. Everybody golfs. Pickleball is easy. Everybody plays pickleball. Trails are so varied. And this isn't to put anybody down if you do one or another, but I would ask, how many of you are hikers? How many of you are bikers? How many of you are horse riders, walk a dog, walk a stroller? And if it's, 7 hikers who never get on a horse or never get on a bike or never, I have a little bit of a concern that it's not representing the public. So that's just one aspect. Other than that, it kind of goes back to, is there a project that we as a board would need to be advised on? Is it just, hey, go out and have fun, do some trail stuff, work with staff? That's probably not the best use of a committee. That's probably better for a volunteer group. Because then you can focus on, well, I only ever hike. I don't want to advise the board on bike paths, because bikers, quite frankly, are very vocal right now. And if the board says to this group, we want help solving this bike situation, and if theoretically, if none of you biked, how are we going to work through that? But if there's a volunteer group, we say, hey, you guys focus on bikes, you guys and gals focus on horses, you guys and gals focus on walking, and your volunteers, you can do your background checks through CPRD. Then the staff can actually call you up and say, hey, we're doing trail cleanup day, volunteer, come on. Or you can talk to them. But if you're citizen advisory committee and you're deliberating over emails and asking Brian to go do things, like that's not within your capacity, legally speaking. Similar to us, like I can't tell Brian, hey Brian, go do this thing. That's literally Clay's job. And I get in trouble for doing that sort of thing. And I don't want anybody here to get in trouble just because they don't know. So those are just aspects of the conversation. I think what I would ultimately personally recommend just for me is if you want to honor your term, go for it. I don't want to kick anybody out because you were appointed, but I might say as we get towards the end of that term, how can we set up a volunteer or focus group oriented thing? And I don't know if Jim's going to
Yeah, and can I just
ding me here.
Can I just address one thing
Sure.
really quick? Because when you talk about the different interest of the group, I mean, the board appointed us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So, based on a pool of applications. So, I think, I think that's important to keep in mind, is that the board appointed us based on the pool of applications. So there was no, and we all use trails, whether it's 3 of those different ways or 1 of those ways or whatever. I mean, we all use trails. So, if the board doesn't feel like it's a group that represents what the public is saying right now, then I would expect the board needs to come to us and say, we're going to add 3 more roles, or we're going to put out applications for a larger team.
Sure.
But that's not something that we can solve
Of course.
right now.
Yeah.
But
I
I'd like to add that I've been on multiple committees, and they're consist a large of the workforce are retired people, and because I have pushed a stroller, I have ridden bikes, I have done all that, and I have the time, and I can be there. I've been on other groups where they think, oh, we need to bring in these young women with kids. No, they can't make it. They got a 90-hour-a-week job already. So it's not like you can just go recruit that group. You have to be careful about what interest groups you're going to end up with. If you go to the interest group, you're going to end up, like Lauren said, you can choose people who've had a broad experience and then have them work together. But I'd also like to just see a discussion later, after we see what's going on, of the trails inside Newberg and inside Dundee. They're marked. They've got nice signage. The same sort of ant-like work that we did on this to go out and poke all the little corners. We could probably make quite a contribution on understanding how that might be, what you might have to do to improve those as a system, not just individual trails. So just throwing that out.
Yeah, thank you. All very valid. I appreciate it.
And don't think that we don't appreciate what you're doing. We do. And that, really it's more staff-driven than board-driven. You're working with the staff most of the time, and I wanted to come back to your question, why weren't we involved in the survey? You asked that question, and that was staff-driven. We, as a board, told the new superintendent when he was hired that we wanted more communication with the public, whether it be, you know, in meetings, whether it be in brochures or, you know, flyers, or whether it be, let's find out what they're doing, whether it be in surveys. So we were not involved, the board was not involved with the survey at all. That was totally staff-driven by the superintendent and the staff. So, and I don't know who they asked or how they went about it. I was just excited that something went out to the general public to find out how they feel, because in reality, I had not really seen that much at all in all the years that I've worked here before. So that was a good start, but I think your concern, I think you should talk to the superintendent and staff about that and bring it up to them. But there was no animosity towards any group.
Yeah.
It was more like, we want to get out there, find out what people want to know, because the board told him when he was hired, we wanted to see that happen.
And it was less of a concern than it was just an example, Jim, of if, you know, there's going to be a mass communication to the public about trails and we're the trail committee, maybe that's an untapped resource.
Yeah, I think
right? As an
I'm sure
example
they'll
for
listen
how
this,
we're
and
gonna,
I think
yeah.
they'll take that into consideration for sure. So I just want to be clear on how
Yeah,
that
thank you. Yeah, appreciate that.
And I think too, Brandon, to your point too, when Matt was on our committee, I felt like we had more of a clearer direction from the board. So, you know, we would end with what projects are coming down the pipeline, what things did he think or the board thought that would help, that we could help with. And I don't know that I know you're new, give granted that, but I think that would be something that would be helpful going forward.
Yeah, we haven't had any discussions as a board. I can't direct you based on what I want, right? I'm a liaison.
Well, it wasn't a direction. It was, here are the things that are coming up for the board. Here are some things that the board may see that will, you know, this committee could help with. It's not you personally, but
Sure.
those were things that Matt provided for us.
Then I probably would recommend adding that to the agenda. Then I can be best prepared if I look at the agenda. Yeah.
Just a couple of comments I'd like to add is, when I first joined the committee, I envisioned what we did was not just Bob and Crystal Riley, but the obvious big project that was there was the trails for Bob and Crystal Riley. And I think we made some very good progress there. I think there'll be continuing work both in Bob and Crystal Riley. But as other people mentioned, I think these other trails, the bypass trails and all the other ones, I'm very much interested in being involved in, seeing how we can help, how we can improve anything. To me, that's another very important part. I don't see this as a one-shot kind of project, that we did this and we're done kind of situation. That's just my view. The other, and just in terms of communication, is I guess just being up at Bob and Crystal Riley on a daily basis, I have the opportunity to talk to people. And by far and away, the biggest user group, and this is not just now, but over years in Bob and Crystal Riley, are hikers. Not just equestrians, anybody else, hikers. I say they are 10 to 1 at least over the next largest group. The problem is, and I talked to them, is not one person I talked to knew there was a survey. So I know there's organized groups and some of the other things. There is no organized industry hiker group. It's just people that come up. And I think you may see that group being underrepresented in the survey, because not all these people live in the district. Excuse me. Some may be out of the district, so they don't see the communications. But I was shocked that not one person I talked with was aware that there was a survey. I encouraged them to go and fill it out. But anyway, that's just, some feedback from doing surveys for business. And the only other comment I would make is there's one thing in this survey, the way it was set up is there was no sort of gatekeeping on the survey in terms of, can you go in and put in a survey in 100 times? You can. So you could basically pack the ballot box, so to speak, if somebody wanted to do that. You know, I was a little bit surprised there wasn't like, we need your, say, email address so we can use that as a gatekeeper. But I just went and I did it twice to see if it was any, no, it's easy. I could have done it 100 times. It would have been just as easy. So I just say, be aware of that as somebody who's put professional surveys out before, that is sort of I think a potential for error.
Yep.
That you may not recognize on that. So I'm just pointing that out on that basis. But anyway, I look forward to being involved in other projects, and I know over the next month we'll discuss that further. But I'm very passionate about the parks and the trails in the district,
Awesome.
and even out of the district, like Magnus Tree Farm and so forth.
Oh, yeah,
You
yeah.
were.
Yeah, I'm very
Yeah.
interested in how that goes.
Good. So, yeah, let's, as many as we can, attend tomorrow or Thursday and think about it, and we'll come back together.
So the Thursday is, I can't make it tomorrow or in person, but Thursday is
Thursday's
what?
virtual,
It's virtual.
so there's a dial-in.
If you go to the website, there's a link.
Okay, CPRD website.
Yeah.
Okay, all
Where it's
right.
got
I
the
only
open
saw
house.
the thing. for-
Yeah, it's in there.
In
If you
person.
can't find it, let me know, John, I'll find it for you. One thing I was gonna ask, do we want to not meet for the month of December because it's Christmas and things are busy and regroup in January? What does the group think about that?
I think if we have essentially finalize the trail map, I'm okay with
Okay,
doing that.
with skipping December?
Yeah, I said January meeting, so apparently
Oh.
I'm okay, like skipping December too, yeah. Feels like it's already December crashing down on
Yeah,
us.
it's just a busy
So,
month for
yeah.
everybody, so, okay, we'll go ahead and we'll skip December and then we'll plan to meet in January.
So the second Tuesday, which would have been our normal cadence, would be January 13th.
Okay. And then Jim, the board meeting is, you're skipping November and meeting December 4th, correct? And then you'll
That
meet
is
again in
correct.
January, so that's the
And the
only,
regular fourth Thursday will pick up again.
okay.
So there's not a board meeting until January.
December 4th.
Oh, December 4th, that's right.
The Thanksgiving weekend kind of messes up.
Oh, that's
So
right, okay.
it's missing.
Does anyone want to report out at the board meeting on the December 4th? I'm happy to, because I haven't
I
done it
guess I
yet.
was just really pleased to hear at the board meeting that the board is very serious and the district's very serious about moving ahead with the Young project. That seems like we're getting that momentum going again. And I'm really looking forward to watching that project progress.
Thank you for reporting out last time.
Yeah.
So I'm happy to report out unless some of
No,
these.
Dennis left before you reported out, remember? And I was like,
Yes.
Dennis.
That's right.
Yes.
No, I'm happy to do it in
Okay.
December, because I'll be there.
Great. Any other administrative items?
No, just any items for January's meeting?
Agenda items?
Well, won't we be reviewing the survey and those results? That's probably,
Yep, so let's put that on, let's put this advisory committee discussion on
Okay.
again. Does it make sense to have somebody, whether Brandon, that's you, or maybe Jim, come and report on, or let me know if this is gonna happen in the board meeting anyway, but like an update on the bypass trail or Sanders?
You wanna say anything, or want me to say something?
Well, I'm assuming you're going to help with the setting the agenda, but if there's a specific project you guys want an update on, then by all means, I would probably shoot that over to staff, and we'll put that on our agenda so that we talk about it and get the information, then we can shoot it back to you guys.
Yeah, the bypass trail, usually, Casey reports on that every meeting and the projects. So, and that right now is,
It's just kind of,
one of the differences between Riley Park and the bypass project is you don't have to deal with the Army Corps of Engineers,
Right.
Department of State Lands, so there's a lot of agencies involved there. So we're moving slowly forward and hoping we can get things going this winter, even though it's been 2.5 years. But right now, one of our main objectives is to be able to safely access 11 acres that we own at Ewing Young Park. And there's some concerns with neighbors and so on, which I understand. And so we are working through that, whereas this committee might want to help us with some of our challenges on that down the road when it comes to, you know, working with the county, working with the city. We went through all that, there's a history to that. And I don't know if I want to get into that tonight, but we did do a lot of engineering and everything else for that bridge, so that's already set. So it's just getting over the final hump and working with the neighbors there to come up with a amenable solution to make this good for all, so the public can access property they own.
Yeah. So maybe Brandon, as part of the new agenda item and what we're talking about here, you could come with sort of, because I would hate for us to decide to stay as a committee in January and then not have something to jump into. So maybe as part of that agenda item, you could come with something that we could jump into.
sure, yeah. If we can, as a board, come up with a direction to just say, this is your job as a committee, you do your thing, and then advise us by
Yeah.
all means. So
Okay.
we'll talk about that.
Great.
I think in September, Jim, maybe it was Brian that reported out, but the ODOT, they were still in the permitting process. Are we still in the permitting process for that? For the bypass trail?
Casey could probably answer this better than me since he's, you know, on the ground working on it, but we do have a situation situation seems to come up on a regular basis, like, oh, we're gonna build a new entry to the bypass, and Park and Rec, we need you to hold off so we can do this, which we weren't expecting and stuff like that, and so right now we're looking at, we have to do some wetland mitigation.
Jim.
Oh, Mike.
Microphone,
Sorry,
yeah.
Ken.
And I'm sorry, I keep forgetting that.
Sorry,
He's asking you.
my fault to ask the
I
question.
said nothing.
Sit there and
So, well, to answer your question really quick, we've run into a situation where we need to do some wetland mitigation. So we'll be probably trading what we're doing there for somewhere else to do mitigation. So right now we're working on that part. We do wanna try to get it going this winter, which might be a difficult task for that bridge. But it's still moving forward, never as fast as people would like. So, that's where we're at right now with that.
So Jim, the 11 acres you mentioned, Ewing Young is the one that would require the bridge to cross the creek to access. Okay.
So just a question on the mitigation. So the plan for the future is to continue that trail all the way through to Dundee. There's gonna be additional mitigation requirements probably.
Depending on where it is and what's underneath it, yeah.
So, and ODOT already has done mitigation in a couple different sites. Were those only mitigated for what they had constructed at that point in time? Or did that mitigation project gonna qualify for additional wetland impacts?
That's a good question for Casey, I can't answer
Okay.
that question. But it's a good question.
It is,
There's a
because
way
you're gonna run into it over and over and over, but if you had like, okay, well, let's do a mitigation for the whole thing, it would make a lot more sense and you have a better project.
But the only problem is we don't really have the plans
That site.
developed for those next bridges yet, and that's
Right,
another issue, because we don't know what we're gonna be getting into since we
Right,
haven't done
okay.
the design. So, I'm sorry again, public, Mike.
Sorry, I asked the question.
Okay, any other items? Okay, meeting adjourned.
Good job.